So what are VPCs, or virtual private clouds, on AWS or Amazon Web Services? My name's David Staples. That's today's topic, and it's coming right up. So VPCs, or virtual private clouds, are roughly the same thing on each of the different cloud service providers, at least in basic concept anyway. However, each cloud service provider might implement it a little bit differently, and that's why we're really kind of focusing just on AWS in this video. Some of the concepts will be the same though, so if you stay tuned, at some point I'll make one for Google Cloud as well as for Microsoft Azure perhaps, and that way we can kind of look at how it's actually implemented there. Today, we're really just going to focus on what are VPCs on the AWS platform. So let's go ahead and take a look at this on the whiteboard here real quick on the iPad. So if I was to draw kind of this big oval here, let's just say that this is the AWS ecosystem. And then from there, we've got our individual regions here, right? So when we're talking about virtual private clouds work at the region level here. So I can deploy a VPC to that region, another VPC over here, another VPC over here, and another VPC over there. Now, I can also deploy more than one VPC to the same region. So I could actually deploy yet another VPC, and create 3 or 4 or 5 different VPCs or more inside of that same region. So virtual private clouds on AWS work at the region level. You might notice that's different on different cloud service providers, but on AWS specifically, the VPC is tied to the region level. Now from there, within that region, we said we've got our individual availability zones, right? So let's just draw some availability zones in here. Those are our red circles. All right, and I went ahead and just added in the little legend up here at the top left just so everyone can keep up. Now, within each of those individual availability zones, we can deploy subnets. So I could deploy, let's just make our subnets green here. So I could have one subnet inside of that availability zone. I could do another subnet over here. I could do another subnet over here. And I could decide that I'm only really going to use 3 out of the 5 availability zones in that particular region and use those 3 individual subnets, which are all going to be part of that virtual private cloud. Now, I could deploy another set of subnets over here as well. Remember, everything's virtual when we're talking about these VPCs. So my second VPC could actually take advantage of maybe a subnet over here, maybe a subnet over here, and a subnet over here. And so we can basically allow these purple dots to be able to communicate with each other and be completely separate or isolated from the green dots. Remember, those green dots are going to be the subnets that we created for maybe application 1, and then our purple dots are the subnets that we created for application number 2. So virtual private clouds work at the region level. Subnets work at the availability zone level. And virtual private clouds are, again, just one way that we can isolate resources from each other within AWS, as well as from other organizations that use the AWS platform. So then you ask, well, what if I need for my applications to be able to communicate with each other? I have very limited ways that I want them to be able to communicate with each other. So I want perhaps these green dots to be able to talk to the purple dots here and vice versa. So AWS does have some tools that can help you do that. That's where you start getting into things like VPC peering or transit gateways. We'll talk about those in other videos. Just again, we're trying to kind of keep these short bite-sized pieces, right? So if you've got any questions, feel free to leave those down in the comments box below. Be sure to check out the description for this video. There's going to be some links in there that you might find helpful. Be sure to like and subscribe this video as well. That helps me out with the algorithm, and make sure that you stay tuned for future videos. But until then, thanks for watching. You guys take care. We'll see you soon.